Hi there and welcome back. In today's video, we will show you another technique using the cotton bands to help the shoulder health, neck health, and spine health. In this video, we are going to be talking about elevation, lifting the shoulders up. This is going to be a really good video for people who have shoulders that are depressed or low down, people who have a history of bodybuilding and have been told they need to squeeze their shoulder blades and maybe squeeze their shoulder blades back and down. It's going to be good for people who have done a lot of like kettlebell, club bell work where they're always having to resist gravity pulling them down, and in general, people who need more of this. Pretty much everyone on the street, most people are going to benefit from what we're doing today, lifting the shoulders up. Okay, so also it's going to be really good for people with scapula winging, when the shoulder blade, if this is the rib cage and this is the scapula, we don't want the shoulder blade to tip forward. So a lot of people, if their elbows are behind their shoulder, the scapula, the shoulder blade, is tipping forward like this. And often that's because they have a kyphosis or a rounding and the scapula comes with it. But as we lift up these ribs and straighten out our thoracic spine, we want the shoulder blade to come back with us. We want the elbow to be in front of the shoulder and for the scapula to tilt back. And so it's going to be really good for people who have a winging scapula. That said, if your scapula wings really badly, you may need some help, you may need guidance, you may need to have some eyes on you if it's really bad. If you have a hard time breathing into your rib cage, this is going to be difficult. You have to have some degree of being able to breathe into your rib cage. However, this may actually help you. This may be the situation and the resistance that you need to breathe into the rib cage. So give it a try. The benefits of this are going to be, it's going to offload the shoulders off the neck. So if you have neck pain or even shoulder pain, this is going to really help prevent that from continuing to be a problem. If you're at the computer all day, right below the computer, and the gravity just pulling you down. Of course, your neck hurts all day long. Your shoulders are just hanging on your neck. We're going to strengthen today the serratus, upper traps, muscles that lift the shoulder blade off of the ribs and suspend them almost like in an anti-gravity type of sense is what it will feel like, and that takes all the pressure off the neck. Cool? Cool. So it's going to provide a better base of support for the arms to work when you have the better shoulder position that we're going to get in here. Before we jump in, you better be rolled out. You better be able to breathe into your rib cage, or at least understand how to try doing it. Go slow as always. Also, it's really important that as we're doing these exercises, it's okay to do one side. If your right side is dominant all day long, you're just strong on the right side. It may be overworking and sore, and so we put both bands on, a band on each side. The right side might get tired first. If you notice that your right side's always getting tight or your left side's always getting tight, don't be afraid to only do this on one side, on the side that's not getting tight. Often things get tight not because they're weak, but because they're the only things ever doing anything. They're just working too much. They're the only things contributing to our tensegrity, our integration. So it's okay to do the other side that you don't ever feel. You should feel it more. All right, so to begin, we have to first apply these wraps in such a way that they pull our shoulders down. So to do that, you're going to grab one of these bands, place it on your shoulder, grab it high up, because this is where you set, if you got it too low, the resistance is not enough. So you grab it high up, pull it around to the back, pull it around to the opposite hip, and then you have a couple options. You can wrap it around the leg, like this, and you're going to want to tuck it in like twice. And now I have this pulling my shoulder down. The other option I'll show you as I come to the other side. Pull down. You can sometimes bring it all the way up to the foot. I like that sometimes because I can walk around with it a little better. It just fits better, and I think the angle comes better. But either works. You can experiment with both. And there you have it, 2 bands pulling you down, 2 different ways to do the bands. And now we can get into a number of different exercises while these bands are pulling the shoulder down. And we can focus on lifting up. Once you're here, as always, we're just gonna breathe. Before we breathe, let's get our shoulders right. The shoulders are gonna come forward and up, and the elbows are gonna come a little bit in front of our shoulders. For some of you who are used to your shoulders being pinched and down, it may feel really weird or like you're bringing your shoulders too far forward. A lot of us have a fear around bringing our shoulders forward as if it's immediately gonna hurt us. It is okay to bring your shoulders forward and up. A lot of us are very weak at being able to protract in a healthy way. So do not be afraid to do this. Bring your shoulders forward and up to the ceiling. Once the shoulders have come forward and up, you're gonna think about bringing the elbows forward and rolling them back, staying wide. This is gonna target your traps, your lower traps, middle traps, and upper traps are already working as I lift the shoulders. You're gonna make sure your core stays involved, on and involved. And that's when you're just holding it. And this is where your shoulders are neutral. They're flat, they're neutral, but they're wide and spacious. Most people are retracted and dropped. We are bringing you out of it by coming forward, up, and tilting back. That's just the easiest way I've found so far to help people find this position. But the ultimate position you're wanting to practice as a neutral base is to arrive here where your arms are basically straight and your shoulders are wide and flat. And from there, we're gonna do the normal breathing. Daily life, you can breathe through your nose. It's best for these exercises to breathe through the mouth. The belly is going to stay in, gently retracted, and all the air is going to filling up the rib cage. That's where our lungs are, in the rib cage. If you can, breathe all the way in, halfway out, and working that last 50% of the range. Otherwise, just full breaths in and out, whatever feels best. As I'm talking to you, you should be breathing the whole time. And throughout this video, at any point, if something feels good, pause the video and just breathe or rep out whatever's feeling good. Time to move on. We're now going to give you some progressions. So you're standing here. One thing you can do is bring your arms a little bit more in front of you, maybe about right here. You could come all the way here, but try maybe like right here. Just notice how this feels. You could hold a can of beans in each hand or a water bottle. Holding just even a little bit of weight in the hands will really help you train serratus to tilt that shoulder blade back. And breathing. You're doing well if you feel it start to wake up here in the serratus area. If you don't have bands, you can substitute dumbbells. I have some 10s here. Use more or less whatever you need based on your body. And again, you're just thinking about lifting the shoulders up. Okay, you could bicep curl, holding the elbows in front of your shoulders. In this position, my shoulders are coming forward and up, and then they're tilting back to lift up here, holding that and breathing. Another option is to grab a 5-pound dumbbell. You want it to be light so you can make sure to get the right area. These are not situations to prove your ego. Find the weight that's right for you, but what you're going to do here is bring it, and you're just going to be at a 90-90, so 90-90. And you're holding it here and breathing. Now you're just focusing on one side. Again, if there's a side you have that typically gets tight, maybe try the other side. Just practice holding it here. The thing is, when you're in this position, what you want to know is that you're not just using all your deltoid and traps, and it's not all up here. It should actually be coming more from serratus, and it should just feel balanced. It shouldn't feel super sharp. So this is kind of an assessment as well as an opportunity to practice training. Just breathing here. Breathing. If I'm holding my left arm up, I'm really going to focus on breathing into my left ribs. This is the serratus right here. You can kind of see that, those shadows. I actually worked out yesterday and I'm like super sore right now. In addition to holding the weights by your sides, you can also rack the dumbbells, and that can give you a good stimulation as well. So you can bring them here into the front squat rack position. They're just resting on your shoulders here. If you have scapulas that wing off the shoulder, the rib cage, this could be good for you, just holding it here, breathing. The whole time we're thinking about elevating with the breath, elevating the shoulders with the breath. This might give you some good results, or I really like holding them right here. So here they're resting down, and they're kind of, they're going to provide a stimulation, a force to make your shoulder blades downwardly rotate. And so you have to breathe and lift up like this. And that's also really nice. So you can just hold here and breathe. If you have a really bad, or if you have a kyphosis, that's pretty bad, or if your hips have a tendency to be here, and if you're just an average Joe, like you can assume that those are probably happening to some degree, it can be really beneficial to actually do all the exercises I've shown you leaning on a wall. Your feet would be about a foot away from the wall, and the wall really helps make sure you're getting into a neutral position, a neutral spine. So on the wall here, my butt is touching the wall. You may have a slight bend in your knees, that's fine. You just don't want to be, the legs should be pretty relaxed, right? The lower back's going to touch the wall. You're going to have to use your core and abdomen to help get the lower back to touch the wall. And then you can see how much can I lift up here and get my head on. So here's where you would practice holding the dumbbells here by your side. You could rack them, or just the bands are on and you're just breathing. But just make sure you don't wind up here. A lot of people wind up here. Keep the elbows in front of the shoulders. Practice that breathing. As you start developing good lift of the shoulders, it can be nice to train it in a rhythmic fashion. So what you'll do is you're holding some weights here, these are 10, and I'm just letting them swing forward and back. My body will develop a natural counter swing that I will let happen, and I'm just letting these swing back and forth, feeling my traps work. You should not feel this in your lower back. You should, if possible, get in front of a mirror so you can make sure you're mostly straight up and down and have a nice neutral spine and a good 3 pillars of posture working for you. But other than that, you can work here. Lastly, one of the nicest things you can do with these bands is hinge. And the reason why is, as you drop into this hinge, which means coming down, 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 as far as you need to till you feel the hamstrings. For some people that are tight, you'll feel it sooner. Some of you will have to go all the way down to feel them. But just come down to where you feel your hamstrings. And then once you're here, continuing to breathe and develop that elevation is going to be really nice, give you a really nice stretch on the back. A lot of you will probably need to tuck a little bit. Just make sure you're having your good hinging mechanics. But spend time breathing here. And then after you've spent time breathing in this position, what you want to do is round your whole back. And then here again, these are coming really nice far and forward, pressing against the bands. Do not be afraid to round your back fully, pulling on your hamstrings. And when you do this, you should feel a nice stretch. If it feels uncomfortable, obviously do not do it. But for most of you, the vast majority, you need to develop
functional rounding of your back. So you can be breathing here as well.
And there you have it.